Hello, everybody, and welcome to the White Hatter YouTube News Show. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Darren.
Let's get into the news. We have a couple articles we're going to talk about here today. We're going to talk about the end of maybe face recognition. A couple articles about that.
The ups and downs, right?
Yeah, the
there's
ups and downs.
There's an upside and there's a downside to it, believe it or not.
Yes, there is.
Yep.
We're going to be talking about a couple scams involving cryptocurrency and Squid Games.
Yep.
And Discord. All right,
Interesting
let's get into the news, shall we?
In the news.
First news topic is an update from Facebook, or
Meta.
whatever you want to call it now. An update on their face
speaking of that, we were watching a
recognition.
commercial yesterday on TV, and they had an advertisement for Metamucil. You know, the stuff that you take to help make you regular and that kind of stuff. And Mom goes, hey, I wonder if Facebook thought about that. Anyways, back on topic. Metamucil.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah, I know.
But if you want to.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, right? So
an update on their face recognition policy. So Facebook announced that they are moving to ending their face recognition program. And in doing so, removing all the billions of faces already in their database and the profiles of those faces going forward.
So a couple things. I think that one of the reasons why this is happening is because of all the public pressure right now and focus on what's going on with FoodTube, with Facebook. Mouth marbles again. I know. I had some mixture of Facebook and YouTube, FoodTube. Anyways, so I think it's because of all the pressure and the leaked documents and all that kind of stuff. I mean, so there's an upside to this, right? Because, do you really want Facebook doing this kind of stuff? But as you said, it used to be automatic, but then they change it. It's like an opt-in function. So, but still, from a privacy standpoint, I think this is a small baby step forward in a positive way for the largest social media platform to kind of protect our protections. But as you said, there's some downsides to this that people don't really recognize.
There's a couple interesting components about this decision. So Facebook said, okay, we're doing this.
Right.
But in doing so, a couple of the features will no longer be functional because they stated that their AI generated descriptions will be limited, if not available, for people who may not be as able or visually impaired.
See, that's one that I never thought about, right? Like there's a percentage of the population who have a visual disability, right? Yep. So they can't see. So as a result of that, AI can work very effectively for them, right?
Yep.
For facial recognition. In
addition, the features were people who have enabled face recognition, where they'll be tagged or notified when someone tags them or posts a picture of them, will no longer be available because they cannot scan pictures for those faces.
So you won't know then if somebody else has captured your image and then tagged it on their platform somewhere with your name.
So, for example, people who are doing impersonation, pretending to be you, Facebook will have a limited ability now to detect that. I mean, they still have other systems in place to prevent that.
Right.
But from a face only stealing your image, that will now be limited, if not available.
That's a downside.
That is a downside. And what's interesting is Facebook said that they only have about 1/3 of users who actually have enabled this anyway.
Because this is not on by default. It used to be once upon a time, but then they changed it.
In the early 2000s, when they first did this, yes. And then people were angry about it naturally. And then everyone who had it on by default was switched to it being off. And now for anyone who has a Facebook account, you actually have to go into your settings and enable the face recognition feature. And only 1/3 of people have done that. So if less than the majority of folks who have Facebook have this on, then why remove it anyways? Because the public perception. Because people seem to think, from my understanding, or looking at social media and comments around this, people think Facebook has this face AI on by default for everybody. Which in fact they don't.
That we know of.
Well, again, do you trust it? Now, I guess to a degree,
Meta.
They do scan images.
Yeah.
They do scan images. So I guess does this mean that they're no longer going to scan images when they're uploaded? Because every image you upload gets scanned. But they still have systems in place to detect C-spam and things like that as well.
Yeah.
So
you know what's on my mind right now?
What?
Meta. Musil.
I don't think that's the branding they wanted to go for.
So, I mean, positive step from a privacy standpoint, but, there are some downsides to this that do affect a small percentage of the population, especially those that have a visual disability.
I'm not entirely sold on this being a good thing because, again, it's off by default.
Right.
So what's the big... It's public perception.
Right. There's no doubt that's what it is, right? Yep. There's no doubt in my mind.
Face ID is not the only way Facebook tracks you.
Right.
Let's just go on with that.
And Facebook is not the only company that is doing this, right?
Yeah,
in fact, don't you have
let's talk about
another
the
thing
next,
that kind of segues nicely into this topic?
Yeah, the next article about face recognition.
Clearview!
Clearview, everyone's also favorite face recognition.
Why was Clearview so popular?
Yeah, so in this article announced from the Australian Privacy Commissioner, Clearview AI breached privacy law in Australia. So Clearview is a company based in New York, and they have developed one of the most powerful artificial intelligent facial recognition software that basically scans the entire internet looking for every publicly available, accessible picture of people's faces, scans it, analyzes it, finds their name, and builds it into a database.
Right. I mean, law enforcement was using it as well as other three-letter agencies around the world for the purposes of trying to identify people, right?
Yeah. They built a very powerful...
Very robust.
System.
Yeah.
Where you take a picture of someone's face on the street, never seen them, never met them, or on a security camera, you copy it, put it into their system, and it will tell you with a good degree of accuracy probably who that person may be. Clearview breached Australian privacy law as stated by the Australian Privacy Commissioner, where basically they were without consent of users, which is a part of their law, collecting personal information in unfair means, and not taking reasonable steps to notify individuals of the collection, and not taking reasonable steps to ensure information was not disclosed, and making sure it was accurate. Basically, we talked about this months ago when Canada's privacy commissioners said almost the exact same thing, in that in our countries, I guess many Commonwealth countries, is that we have laws stating that you have to be informed, have to be described, have to make sure that information is accurate, that you can actually change information if it's inaccurate, and there needs to be more transparency in this.
Question.
And
what about Google Cache?
Okay, so this is the issue that I have. So,
oh boy, here we go. He's going to start his rant. Here we go.
Before I get into the cache, I want to talk about what Clearview stated in a response.
All right.
So obviously they're going to take this to court, as they've said.
For sure.
And what they stated is that the images were accessible without requiring passwords, were publicly available, didn't require any security clearance, and they said the images were held by Clearview AI and were published in the U.S. and not Australia, and therefore not bound by Australian privacy law.
Okay, so just to be clear, it's not as if Clearview is going out there with their own cameras and taking pictures of people. What they're doing is they're basically screen scraping or capturing pictures of people that already exist on the internet in a public venue, open source.
Yep.
Okay.
And they said the information was collected and held in the United States.
Right, not Australia.
Which, therefore, Australian privacy law has no weight.
Jurisdiction.
And I kind of understand this in a way, and I get what they're saying, because let's say an Australian is vacationing in the United States.
Why would they want to do that?
Yeah.
It's Australia, man. It's a cool country.
Spiders won't kill you.
That's true. Anything that bites you down there can kill you, right? I'll be honest with you. Australia is one of the countries that are on mom and dad's bucket list that we want to go and visit.
So, for whatever reason, they're vacationing in the United States.
All right.
Well, let's say the Australian walks in on the public and a company captures their image, their face,
Disney.
And analyzes it.
They're going to Disney.
Yeah.
And Disney captures their face because everything, they got just a ton of stuff there, right? Okay.
Well, let's say there's something that Disney's doing, or I'm not going to say Disney, but let's say there's a company, because Disney's big and maybe watching this. Hi, Disney.
Hey. How you doing?
Let's say there's a company and it's collecting your information because you are visiting the United States, which privacy laws are a lot less strict. Well, Australia can't come and say to that U.S.-based organization, hey, my Australian that visited your company, you broke their privacy law based on our laws. So
No.
you need,
But I think Australia could say to that company, you can no longer do business in our country.
But Australia has basically stated that Clearview has to remove all images of Australians in their platform. As same thing was said here in Canada about
like
Canadians.
if I don't, what are you going to do about it?
Exactly.
Other than saying you're not allowed to operate in our country from a business standpoint, right?
Fair enough.
That's what they could potentially say. But now my question to you is, what about Google Cache? What about all these other platforms that are doing the same thing? How does that work? What about, I mean, you brought up the issue of the Wayback Machine.
Yeah. So
go for it. Start your rant.
Here's my rant. Here's what I want to say about this.
Here it goes.
I understand Clearview's statements in the information they're collecting is publicly available.
Right.
Anyone can see it. Anyone can it's like a public space.
Yes.
The problem with Commonwealth and European privacy law is that how they're interpreting it is that you cannot save or analyze people's information online, even though it's publicly available.
Right.
Here's the thing. Google uses caching, which for those of you who don't know is when you do a Google search, Google will scan.
This type of caching?
Google has a lot of that.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's not what I mean.
What do you mean?
What a Google cache is basically, and it's caching altogether. Bing does it. Yahoo does it. Yandex.
Yeah.
They all do it. So when Google scans your web page to index it, it will also take a screenshot, a copy of the code. So let's say your website goes down.
Right.
Well, the cached backup version from when it scanned your site might be available there.
That's why when you Google things and you see a little green arrow on the end of it, that tells you that what you're looking at has been cached.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, as a side note, we've used that in open source intelligence.
As an investigator.
Where maybe someone deleted something off a website, but there was a backed up cache version on Google, so you can see the deleted thing.
Absolutely.
And in addition, there's also a service called Wayback Machine or archive.org. And they've been in business now since 19 whenever. Long time. And their mandate is to archive the internet for humanity studies and all that stuff. So they make copies of web pages. They make copies of the internet. So when you have Google making a copy of images, making a cache version.
And not notifying people they're doing it.
Yeah.
Although it's probably in their terms of service that nobody ever reads.
Yeah, same as Clearview. It's in their terms.
Yeah.
Wayback Machine, which makes copies of the internet, which again, no one is there discussing. So Microsoft, same thing. Amazon, same thing.
Yep.
Therefore, by that logic, are those now breaking the law in terms of privacy law? Because if I was Clearview's lawyers, I would go, okay.
And you're not a lawyer.
No, I'm not.
You don't pretend to be one.
But if I were, and I was using this argument, I haven't seen many people do this, but they probably should. If I was Clearview in a courtroom, I'd go, Google does the same thing. Microsoft does the same thing. Archive.org does the same thing. Clearview is the one being targeted because they are public perception as being the bad folk.
That's right. They were targeted. I mean, when things blew up over Clearview, I mean, like it or not, they had a big target painted on them, right? So people ran with it. Yeah, that's an interesting argument, right? I mean, if Clearview says to the Australian government, no, we're not going to do it, what's the worst can happen? Well, the Australian government can prohibit them from doing work in Australia.
And by that logic,
even block them from accessing Australian people via the internet, right?
No, they can't.
Sure they can. Countries are doing that all the time.
Again, we're going into the hypothesis I had years ago where each country is going to have their own independent internet.
Metaverse.
Where China's the best one right now, where it has its own centralized internet system.
Right.
And Russia's kind of working on that. Well, they have a system in place right now where it's. I
remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, where they're building it. Where let's say the internet crashes worldwide, Russia right now is working on systems, and companies are required in Russia to kind of facilitate this functioning of the system to be able to maintain it internally.
Yeah, for war, right? That's what their biggest
That's what it is.
Right?
Because
it's the if all of a sudden cyber war takes place and they're knocked off the internet, they're in big trouble, right?
Yeah.
So they would basically want to air gap themselves, right?
China's the best right now in doing that. Russia is working on it. I haven't heard much from North American or European-based countries in doing this and in preparing for that. There might be something in secret. I don't know, but
I've been thinking for years, because we know that most munitions that are smart bombs and that kind of stuff are guided by GPS.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was a country that wasn't pro-American or whatever, one of the first things I would attack are the GPS satellites.
You know, GPS is North American. There's actually alternatives to GPS. Russia has one, and Europe has one.
I know, but why not go after it, right?
Exactly.
So, anyway.
So, I mean,
that's why they created the Space Force.
I've been saying that here in Canada when the Canadian Privacy Commissioner said Clearview can't do this. I've been saying, well, Google can't function in Canada either. Amazon can't. Microsoft can't.
Right.
I don't see them being kicked out of Canada.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
maybe I need to yell a little louder.
Yell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're doing the same thing.
If you yell in a forest, will anybody hear? Next one.
All right. Rant done.
Squid Games.
Squid Games.
Crypto.
This article is great because it combines two hot topics. Squid Games and cryptocurrency.
And just for everybody who doesn't know what Squid Games is, what's Squid Games?
Who does the most watched Netflix show ever?
That's right.
Okay, so it's
Korean.
Korean based,
Yeah.
and it's basically like Hunger Games.
Yeah.
And a bit of Saw.
Yeah.
Only a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
It's like a mix of the two,
Yeah,
and it's a battle royale essentially.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it,
Hunger Games, yeah.
Yeah. So an individual scammer made a Squid Games cryptocurrency, and what they pretended to say was it was in preparation for a game that is based on the hit Netflix show.
Right.
Scam. And the scammer stole millions of dollars, people who invested and bought into the cryptocurrency because, one, Squid Game is super popular, and cryptocurrency, again, hot topic, and people lost millions.
Yeah, in fact, the RCMP, which is our National Police Force, for those people who are viewing us from other countries, put out a huge warning, national, last week about this very issue, about how crypto fraud is at significant levels right now in our country, and just to be aware of it. I mean, we helped a family who fell prey to this and lost just over $1 million of their hard-earned savings. They actually remortgaged their house. They think they're going to lose their house now as a result. It's pretty sad, actually. So something to be aware of, right?
If this is your first time tuning into our show, last week's show we talked about some moral panic around Squid Games and Halloween. So if you haven't checked that out, check out last week's show on that.
Yeah, I mean, the whole issue right now is that, it's a great combination. Squid Game's very popular, and crypto, which is very popular. But, this cryptocurrency thing, like, I still have troubles trying to understand it. I truly do. Do I want to put my money in there? No, not yet. Are there people making some big bucks out of it? Oh, absolutely there are. However, people know that and are preying upon the less knowledgeable.
Yeah, I think it's like any investing. You have to do your research. I think people are just jumping in without doing the research or understanding the technology.
Looking to make quick cash.
They're just putting money in because people say put the money in here, and it's like any investing.
Right.
When you're direct investing, you got to do your own research.
Yeah, or get somebody that is bonded and licensed to do it for you, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, what do we got? What's next?
Discord Nitro phishing targets Steam users. Now,
that's a mouthful.
I know, right? We talked.
Discord Nitro phishing targets Steam gamers. Wow.
I know. Yeah. So at least in my circles,
what's Discord?
Discord is getting really popular.
What is it?
It is a social network, essentially, that allows
and
for
is that blue
communication.
symbol there the icon for Discord?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
So it is a communications platform like Facebook, where you create groups, video chat, audio chat, share images. It's another form of social sharing.
And what is Steam?
Steam is a PC-based, computer-based gaming platform where you purchase and download and play your games.
So is it very common then that people who are on Discord will use Discord in combination with gaming?
Very common, which is why this scam is kind of effective. So what this scam is proposing is Discord has a premium plan, which is called Nitro. And
that's the name of our cat.
It is the name of your cat. And this phishing scam is basically saying, hey, connect your Steam account to Discord Nitro for a free subscription to the service. And obviously it's a scam. The website's a scam. And when you click it and you go log into your Steam account, it's a fake web page where it captures your Steam login information, which some people have their wallet, credit cards attached to, or currency in there, which they then use to scam or buy things.
So Discord it owns Nitro.
Nitro is a premium version of Discord.
Okay, and what's the difference between Discord and Nitro, the premium version?
You get more bandwidth, server space, specialized emotes. You get more.
Do you have a Discord
audio.
Nitro?
I don't, but my partner does.
Right.
Who uses Discord a lot.
So you're speaking from a position of knowledge on this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that I have experience with Nitro because my partner has Nitro.
So do I. But Nitro the cat.
Meow. Nitro the cat.
Nitro the cat. So what's the takeaway here?
Nitro is premium. So if somebody's offering it for free, it's probably a scam.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think that, presently, when you look at the platforms that teens are using right now, this time last year, it was Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube were in the top 4. I'm thinking Discord is gonna.
I like Discord because
right?
it decentralizes yourself.
And Twitch, right?
Well, I like Discord. Twitch is just for streaming and content creation. Discord I like because it decentralizes you from, say, Facebook or other big platforms, in that you can kind of create your own customized social network in Discord, where you have a lot more control and permissions over what people can and cannot do in your particular environment if you choose to do so. Now, it's not as simple as, say, logging onto Facebook and making a private group. It's super user-friendly that way. Discord is a little more cumbersome.
Yeah, like you can set up your own servers on Discord, right? So that you can control who comes in and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you have a lot of control.
Yeah, it's become very, very, very popular with teens right now. Like, very popular. That combined with Twitch.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting. What else?
Last kind of update from us is we published a new blog article.
This one is really
kind
interesting.
of based off of a webinar that you participated in, and some research that was presented that you reviewed as well, and suggesting that reducing screen time may in fact increase risky behavior.
It was interesting.
So what is this all about?
There's so much about screen time, and we've been saying for years, it's not the amount of time people are spending on screens, it's what they're doing with their time on screens that matters. So we don't use the term screen time, we like to use the term screen usage, right? But what was interesting was that this PhD specialist who specializes in this area has been doing a ton of research, is now he posed a question, which is, maybe it's risky because people who are already at risk, if they don't have access to sites to help them cope with those risks, it increases risk to them. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like the chicken and egg argument that we put forward all the time. Is it that screen usage causes risky behavior, or is it those who are engaged in risky behavior engage in more screen time to help them cope with that risky behavior, right? And my argument is it's the latter. Like, I truly do believe that. And there's been lots of research to kind of support this.
And this is not the first time we've come across information like this. I mean, when you're looking at stats over time for violent behavior, generally speaking, violent crime has been going down over the last decade or two.
Correct.
And what have we seen an increase of is screen usage.
Right.
Now, is that causational? No, but you can summarize, if somebody's on their screen, they're probably not going to be engaging in necessarily violent behavior in the physical world. Right.
But but some people will say, yeah, but if it's violent video gaming, then that violence is going to cause violence outside of video gaming. But
if they're gaming, then they're not outside, it's not going to happen anyway.
And the good academic peer-reviewed research over the years have shown that there's no correlation there whatsoever.
And any negative behavior in gaming has a spike in frustration and anger right during and right after.
We kind of dedicate in a chapter in the book on this very topic.
The White Hat web book for parenting online world.
Yes, or online parenting, or parenting in an online world.
Yeah,
is what it's called. And what's interesting is we make several notations there and citations in the book where it's showing that young people and even older people who are experiencing mental wellness challenges will often turn to the internet to help them as a coping mechanism. So maybe that's one of the reasons why, right? And see, this is what a lot of parents, it's getting better because parents are of today, the new parents are the millennials. They're you guys, right? So you kind of were brought up in this world. But, you know, gaming, one of the things I say to parents in our gaming presentation is gaming is not the gaming of what it was like when I was raising you, right? Gaming for me was things called Pac-Man and Asteroids and Donkey Kong, where it was you against a machine. Today's gaming is about community.
It can be.
Right?
It is sometimes still against you versus the machine or systems in place,
Right,
but there is a lot of community, online interaction,
Yeah.
communication, strategy,
Yeah.
planning, critical thinking, puzzle solving. So there's a lot of facets to gaming that...
So the whole title behind this, you know, reducing screen time may in fact increase risky behavior. I created that because I knew it would stir the pot. Right? I just knew it would cause people to go, well, hold on a second here. Everybody's telling us that screen time is bad for kids, right?
If you're playing a contact sport in a game, you're not playing a contact sport physically, so you're probably not going to get injured in a contact sport if it's virtual.
Well, that's not true. You could get an elbow, right, from your partner who's sitting beside you on a team.
Okay,
Just
if
saying.
you're playing remotely in two living rooms.
You could get tunnel carpal syndrome from working the keys and mouse all the time.
I think that's more preferred than say a traumatic brain injury.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just saying from a whole level of risky behavior.
I agree.
Brain injury, carpal tunnel.
I agree. But this is a really when I watched this webinar, because you know a week and a half ago I dedicated a whole week to professional development. Like I love attending webinars and learning from people. And when I listened to this doc talk about this issue, I went, I like this guy. Like he gets it. Right? And he said, you know, we have to be very, very, very careful about some of the statements that some of these groups are making because it's just not supported by the good research.
I do think it's fair to say that there are some folk, young and old, that online activity is not good for them.
Correct.
I think...
But who are they? See, that's the question.
I think what we're going at here is global statements.
Right.
I think globally, yeah, okay, overall, I think we're in the right direction where online screen time does not necessarily have long-term negative effects. Globally speaking, now we're humans, we're incredibly complex individuals.
Yes.
So I think...
Some more complex than others. Just saying. You're right. But the question now is, who are those? I think that's where the research is now going. The research is now going, because you're right. For most, there's not a lot of concerns. For a smaller cohort, there are, but who are those smaller cohort? Can we identify who they are?
I think this kind of goes well with the current social trend of individuality, where I think right now we're seeing a lot in politics and a lot in social communications where there's a lot of focus on individual circumstances.
Right.
Where it's based off the individual and the totality of who they are, psychology, economics, politics, all this stuff that relates to who we are as humans. And I think global statements of truth or fact are kind of being removed from the overall global discussion of things.
I think where we're going with this, and I hate using the term online, offline, because in today's world, it's just one world of what we call the online world. But I think what the researchers are now showing us is that those youth and even adults who are at risk offline are the same youth who are at greater risk when they're online.
But I guess the question is, what is the risk?
I know.
And that, I'm looking at a hierarchy of needs in terms of risk management where...
Oh, God, here comes his education.
I'm just saying.
Hierarchy of needs. Isn't that Maslow?
Maslow's hierarchy of needs, yes.
See?
I kind of live my life a bit by the hierarchy of needs and how I perceive the world.
Ain't that the frickin' truth? Just saying.
Okay. I perceive it kind of like a hierarchy of needs where we have... Everything can be risky. Everything can have a positive and a negative.
Right.
But some things have more negatives than others.
Right.
So what is it you prioritize? Again, when the contact sport analogy, where a physical contact sport with a risk of brain injury is probably less preferred than a contact sport in a virtual game with your hands on a controller.
Yeah, and it's all about managing risk.
Yeah.
Right? You've said that for years, right? It's all about managing risk. It's like that's why we have seat belts in cars, to help manage risk of injury, right?
Did you know in 2018 there were 11,000 injuries because of motor vehicles? in Canada alone.
11,000? That's it? I thought it would be higher.
I think those were...
Is that just in one province?
I think those were fatalities.
That would be better.
Yeah,
Because 11,000 injuries would be nothing.
Those were fatalities.
Okay, that's a concern. Yeah.
Yeah. But again...
How many of those weren't wearing seatbelts?
I don't know the amount of that. But again, it's even then, the cars have an immense amount of safety practices built into them.
Right.
So... But we still drive cars.
Right.
We still walk along the street.
Right. It's about managing risks. If you ride a bicycle, you should wear a helmet. Why? To manage risks. Right. That's what it's all about, is identifying what those risks are and then teaching youth and adults how to manage those risks in the on-life world.
Drive a car with a helmet and bubble wrap around you. Good to go. We're not about to do that.
No.
But I mean, like, if you're looking at the amount of injuries and fatalities from motor vehicles...
Well, that's why one of the things they're saying is that fully autonomous cars will actually be safer than cars that are driven by humans.
Yeah, because it removes the human element, which is incredibly messy.
Interesting, right?
The human when you involve humans in anything,
yeah.
things are going to break.
Yeah.
Things are going to go wrong when humans are involved.
Same thing in the tech world, because like it or not, there have been some examples where autonomous cars did things, and as a result of that, there were accidents that took place. I mean, it's still a developing technology.
The tech is made by humans, and then humans can be flawed in how they make the tech.
And people go, oh my God, cars that drive themselves? Planes have been flying themselves forever. Autopilot, right?
Walmart last week was rolling out testing their autonomous driving vehicles for food delivery.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Which honestly I think is the way to go. Why go? We see a lot of food delivery services starting up.
Right.
Why have a grocery store where you can have people walk in and buy things? You use that retail space. You just fill it with food completely, and then people just order remotely.
But what about people watching? That's why I go shopping. I love to people watch. When I go shopping with Mom, we love walking in malls. We love walking. That's why COVID was kind of a downer for us. I mean, we love walking the streets. People watch, man. Sit in a coffee shop, having a coffee, just watching people.
You can access government publicly available cameras.
Yeah, but it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not. Anyways. Interesting show.
Here's a business proposition.
Oh, God, here we go.
We do just that.
Here comes the big brain.
Walmart's working on it. You just have a warehouse of food and items people buy.
Right.
Produce.
Yeah.
And you just order remotely and have it all delivered.
It's not just Walmart that's doing it. A lot of the major chains are now doing that. Like Save-On is looking
They are,
to do
but
the same
the thing
right?
is that they have to have employees hired to do that. And they have to go into the store that's not optimized for...
No, what I understand Save-On is doing is they're actually doing exactly what you say, where they're just going to have a big warehouse. It's going to be robotic fed, where you just send in what it is
They're
you want.
working on that.
Yeah.
And I think most major chains are working on it, but they're not there yet.
No, they're not
right
there,
now,
but they're getting close.
Right now with our local one is that they, like many local grocery stores, they have employees who actually in the store are picking items, which is highly inefficient.
But I know for sure, can't tell you my source, but I know for sure that Save-On is looking at kind of doing exactly what you're saying, where they're going to have this huge warehouse and you just send in your order, robots package up the order, and then they deliver it to you. Now, the question is, will they be using autonomous vehicles to do the delivery like Amazon is doing, right?
Well, I guess it depends in regions where autonomous vehicles are permitted.
Yeah.
Where some states
What a great opportunity for criminals too, right? Like you see one of these autonomous things and you kind of go after it. Right?
Well, you have to assume that these autonomous vehicles are packed to the brim with cameras and...
So everybody's wearing a mask, right? Like, I'm just saying, like hijacking for food and stuff. Like it'll be interesting, right? Because if everybody's doing that, how do you police that from crime, right? Like I'm thinking as a criminal, I see an autonomous vehicle coming from Amazon. Oh, I wonder what's in that. Let's ram it and take what's in it.
With Amazon's facial recognition in place, you probably
but what if I'm wearing a mask?
I'm sure they'll probably analyze your gait.
Well, I'll put marbles in my shoe to change my gait as I'm walking around. It's like, anyways,
how's that
we see it right now with porch pirates, right? During the Christmas season, right? Where, all these Amazon gifts are, and something else we should talk about that our next show, actually.
Getting into the winter season?
Yeah, and there was a really good one just recently. I just watched it today. It was on TikTok, actually.
TikTok?
Yeah, it was on TikTok. I love TikTok. Where people set up cameras, right? The outside cameras, and they had parcels delivered by Amazon, and here comes a porch pirate wearing a mask, comes up, goes to steal it. Owners who are in the house see this. They go to the door. The guy sees, he runs to his car, tries to get away. He gets stuck in his car. They phone the police. The police come in and box him in, and they nail him, right? But, I mean...
That sounds... Besides the police part, that sounds... Did you see the police cars?
Yes, the police...
what you just said
was it like a setup?
Highly staged.
No. It wasn't staged. It was real.
But local police wouldn't get involved in this
stuff
like that.
It was local police. Like, it was something else where they took this guy down. But, I mean, from a criminal standpoint, though, like, think about it. If I see a fully autonomous vehicle from Amazon or from Save-On or something like that, what a prime target to go after. Just saying. That's why they need lasers on them, right? You get too close, you get lasered.
May I recommend the U.S. military has that technology?
Oh, God, of course.
To shoot down missiles?
Yeah.
And other drones?
Yeah. Interesting. Good show.
A weaponized autonomous Amazon vehicle.
What can go wrong?
What could go wrong?
Like, oh my God.
All right. Well, this was been a show.
Yeah. Interesting.
Thank you all for tuning in. If you made it this far, we really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And
don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
If you haven't already, it's free. It costs you nothing. Definitely helps the show. And we'll see you all next time.
You bet. Bye, everybody.
See ya.